Hello everyone, Simon Jacobson here. It's always a pleasure sharing a few words. So we're doing the Bible series, we call it, Meaningful Life, taking the narrative, events, characters, personalities of the best-selling book of all time, the Bible, and applying it to our personal, emotional, psychological, and spiritual lives. So today's topic is seamlessness. Does your outside reflect your inside? Another way of putting it, duplicity versus integrity. This program is dedicated by Noah Smith in honor of Estelle Thomas Brown and Lilia Thomas Smith. Okay, let's go. An interesting contrast. In English, the word for face, the human face, is also associated with the word for surface, like on the face of it, on the surface level. In Hebrew, from biblical Hebrew, the word for face is panim. Panim means a face, but panim also has another meaning. It means inward, the inside. So we say on the face of it, on the surface level, ostensibly, that only refers to the outer. You're not talking about what's within, inside. Whereas in Hebrew, the same word for outside is also used for what's inside. You know the expression, what you see is what you get. That the inside is reflected in the outside, and the outside reflects what's on the inside. There's an expression in Hebrew as well. They used to call it, I think the Indians would call the white man. White man speaks in forked tongue, meaning they say one thing and they mean another. One thing in your heart, another thing on your tongue. We can smile to someone and stab them in the back. We can be very sour on the outside and actually be warm on the inside. There's a certain ability for the human being to be duplicitous, unfortunately. So the concept of seamlessness, of a flow, where the inner is reflected on the outer and the outer reflects the inner, is not necessarily a given. However, when you think about children, young children, look at children, all of us as children, we are exactly that way. That's why you have to always tell children, don't say everything you see in the house. Keep it to yourself. Because children have a certain innocence where, why not? What is there to hide? Take even sexuality. The purity of a child, the innocence of a child, there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's a certain element of innocence and purity. It's only when we become self-conscious. And there's a certain value in that as well. I'm not suggesting that we lose that self-consciousness, but it's a result of a certain duality in our lives where certain things have to be said, certain things not have to be said. So obviously we train and teach our children, not everything has to be said. There are things called being private. There are things called, not talking about secrets, or things that we have to hide, but a privacy and intimacy may be the best word. But the bottom line is that as adults, we grow into adults, we learn duplicity. Children don't know that on their own until they see it from an adult. They don't know how to lie. How do you lie? How do you tell someone an untruth? That's a result where your inner and your outer are separate from one another and somewhat divorced from one another, sometimes even contradictory to one another. Now, obviously, there's a famous expression that says, you don't always have to say the truth, but never say a lie. Obviously, there are things that we shouldn't always be saying. You don't want to just insult someone. Even if it's true, you don't have to always tell somebody something that's inappropriate or something offensive. So I'm not suggesting lack of discretion. But I'm talking about the other side where there's a true duplicity of two realities, what's on the outside and what's on the inside. So in the biblical story, in these week's chapters, talks about the garments that the priests wore, the priestly garments they're called, the robes, the tunic, the different garments that they wore, and they had to be beautiful. Now you can say, who cares about garments? The garment industry is an external thing, it's superficial. Yes, even though millions, if not billions of dollars, even more than billions of dollars is invested in the fashion industry and in fashion, but that can be easily dismissed as being okay because people are superficial, they're shallow, they live on the surface level. On the surface level, everything is what it looks like. It doesn't matter what happened, as Madison Avenue cynics say. It doesn't matter what happened, it matters what people think happened. Or like that joke where a woman is rolling rolling her carriage, rolling her carriage with a newborn baby inside. Someone comes over and looks at the baby, say, "So cute, what a beautiful baby." And the mother says, "That's nothing. You should see the picture of the baby." In other words, images become more important than reality. And in that world, of course, fashion is a tremendous thing. On the other extreme, some people say, "I only live inward. Forget about what I look like. Don't judge the book by its cover," even though, frankly, everybody does. It's the biggest cliche that really is completely false. Everybody judges a book by its cover. Well, almost everybody, and that's why it's a billion-dollar industry, design and cover design, packaging, marketing. You could have something that's worthless, but the package looks good. It's critical. So you could also go to the other extreme. I only want to have an inside person. The truth is, what we learn from this story about the priestly garments, from this narrative, from this command, is that the outer should be beautiful, but not as hollow and fake beauty, but one that reflects the inner. In other words, true beauty is inside out. It's both an inner beauty that shines forth and also is expressed on the outer level. So yes, the things we do, the way we dress, the way we behave, should be with dignity and majesty. And it's not just an internal thing. Like you could find people who are very refined on the inside, but on the outside, yes, their etiquette or other things is can be disturbing. We need both. One without the other is not complete. Yes, obviously the inner is more important than the outer. And just having something on the outer, but the inside is ugly, but outside is beautiful, is false. That's the sizzle, more powerful than the steak. The projection of things, which is so much part of advertising. However, for something to truly have integrity, it's not just a matter of being within, it's also shining forth. That the smile on your face, the aura that you give off, the vibe, even the externals are reflective of that internal. Remember, face meaning both inner and outer. And that is the true beauty of what life is about. Children know that naturally, but they don't yet have the seasoning and the maturity to know discretion. Some things have to remain within. But as adults, where we could be duplicitous, imagine people who have the potential to be duplicitous and yet they choose to shine forth, that their inner shines outward and their outer reflects what's within. It's one of the most beautiful things they say about lies. When they say about a lie always needs another lie to cover up for it. And at some point you don't even remember all your lies. Truth doesn't need that. Truth is very secure. And that's why when you say the truth, you don't need to go figure out what did you actually say. When it's a lie, you have to go figure it out. Because cover-ups and duplicity and all that type of falsity doesn't have anything to stand on. It doesn't have true inner value. It's an external thing. It's a narrative. It's a story that's told. And it could be a complete baloney story. Completely fake. Fake news, some people call it. So the externals can also be very much of a trap because we are so often seduced by our senses, and what things appear to be can have a deep impact on us. So we constantly need to navigate between the inner and the outer and look for that seamlessness that flows between the two. And that's why a person who has that integrity is at peace with themselves. You don't have to keep worrying, will I be caught? Will one lie stand up? Will I have to create another lie to protect the first lie? And so on and so forth. Because there's a certain calm and peace in truth. And truth and integrity is exactly that. It's a seamless flow from what actually happened and what you express. Sometimes I marvel at the fact, you spend millions, billions, trillions of dollars in court trying to find the truth because someone's lying. Someone is not saying the truth. And you look for witnesses and evidence, all to discover simply what actually happened. It just tells you how much this world covers up and conceals that which is beneath the surface. And it's just a way of demonstrating the duplicity and the falsity of the world in which we live. But we were charged with a mission to come into a world that has that potential of duplicity, has that duality, and you know what? We're going to create a seamlessness, a purity, something that shines through. That's something that you can really respect because you know it's reflecting both that which is within and that which is without. So there's so many applications of this and so many different ways that this can be experienced in life. And I think back about different experiences in my own life, and the times that you feel most at peace and most at comfort is when you're in that type of place. It's like being inside of water. You're completely submerged in something. You feel you belong. You feel you're nurtured. You don't feel you have to be, you don't feel out of place. You feel comfortable in your own skin. It's another way of saying that we're experiencing that type of seamlessness. So, yes, we have the choice of integrity versus duplicity. Some people think you can get away with it and therefore can live that type of life of, we don't always have to say what exactly is really happening. Sometimes you distort and sometimes much worse. And then you can live a life of integrity, which doesn't mean that you compromise anything. It just means you have that ability to just be yourself. And as people experience you, what you see is what you get. Now, this doesn't mean we don't have depth and we don't have inner dimensions and we all have intimate levels that perhaps can be expressed. But you're also not expressing the opposite of it. There's a sincerity, there's that seamlessness, there's that flow. And life, everything is about a flow. That's what it really comes down to. I mean, you ask yourself the question, how many lies do we tell a day? How many lies do we tell in our lives? There was a great chassid who said, before he passed away, they asked him, what is he looking forward to? He says, I'm looking forward to a moment that I will not have to lie. Now, lie doesn't always mean a blatant and malicious lie. A lie can be white lies. It can be other things that we cover up, we minimize. But there's something to be said about bringing truth in a duplicitous world. There's a real accomplishment. It's a breakthrough, actually, that creates a revolution. And that, my friends, is the key to understanding this concept. So, on one hand, yes, externals are just externals, internals are internals, but you can actually create a seamless flow between the two of them. And when you do, you actually achieve something that is unique and transforms this world. In a way, you could just say it's like combining the innocence of a child and the maturity of an adult in a way that brings the best of both worlds together. So when you think about it in our own personal lives, it's decisions we make all the time on a daily basis, on a very practical level. We're constantly making these decisions about these two aspects. I mentioned before not to judge a book by its cover. The fact is, we do judge books by its cover. But imagine if the cover also reflected that which was within. No, it's not just the package looks good, but when you go in, oh, wow. It says, yes, the package was truth in advertising. It actually was a cover that was fitting, where form and function become one fusion. They melt into each other. And this, in truth, is what everything in life is about. If you think about nature, you think about even the human body. What is a healthy body? What is healthy nature? What is even healthy technology? Is the energy is flowing into the containers. The energy and the appliance are flowing not too much and not too little. A perfect match. So whatever that container is, let's say it's a light bulb, let's say it's a refrigerator, let's say it's another appliance, let's say it's a computer. The computer, as you're using the form of it, is reflecting its function, and the function is expressed in the form. And that's why it's so critical. You talk about the message and the medium, that the medium can be the message, but the medium reflects the message, and the message is properly reflected in the medium. A good speaker, a good communicator, is using the proper words, not more and not less, to convey a feeling, a sentiment, an idea, a concept. If you use too many words, or you use too few words, then the balance is off. So you see, wherever you turn, you're going to find these two poles and these two elements that create the dynamic. And whenever you find true healthy seamlessness in any given area, I mentioned technology, science, you know that something is working well. So why not apply that same truth to us? Now, we are human beings. We have that free will. We have the capacity to say what we really believe and feel, or we have a capacity to be duplicitous, to be false, to misrepresent, to lie whenever it's convenient, to wear different masks just in order to get by or to get through, or we think that's the way people want it. Instead of being a pleaser, to actually express what you really feel and to the right people, so that then you have that seamless flow. There's much to be learned about this seamlessness, and I'm sure each of us can implement it and apply it to our lives in so many different ways. I hope this gives you some food for thought and for heart and thought, for mind and heart and soul. And if each of us did just a little action where we one day deliberately said, you know what, I'm not going to be as duplicitous as I've been. I'm not going to be as so fragmented or disjointed. But I'm going to try to do something that is reflective of my inner and my outer. You tell me how you feel afterwards. It's something that has a deep fulfillment, a deep contentment, a deep joy that will encompass you because it just feels right. And when you do that, it's amazing. Think of a good, beautiful song that you hear. The song is beautiful, the sound, the tune, but it's also expressing a sentiment through that song. And that's where the body and soul come together in this ultimate fusion and ultimate convergence and integration, where we are healthy on both levels and both are expressed equally. And we ultimately can even express the inexpressible. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I do this every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called Meaningful Live. Please join me. Please share this if you found it meaningful. I'd love to hear your feedback, your comments. This has been Simon Jacobson, meaningfullife.com. Meaningfullife.com is our website where you can find an array of these programs and scheduled programs on virtually every topic for different audiences. Please enjoy and partake. And as I said, I love to hear from you. Be well, stay well, and I look forward to share more moments together.